Hello guys, welcome to a new video on Tower of God New World. And in this video, I'm going to do the character review for Cassano. I'm going to go over the usual points. I'm going to talk about how good this unit is. Then we're going to look at the skills, Revolution, Exosuke Gear, Ignition Weapon, Rapport, and finally some team recommendations. I will start straight away with the first point. So how good is Cassano? I would say that Cassano is a pretty nice deck unit. It fulfills the same role as Blarode. They both grab the enemy that's furthest away. They will bring them close to your team and then have ways to prevent them from casting their special moves. That's basically all they do. I would say that Cassano has more value throughout the fight because he has more AoE value than a Blarode, but still they're basically interchangeable. If you already have a Blarode build, you can kind of skip Cassano unless you find yourself facing a lot of annoying backline enemy units. That's more or less uh, all there is to it. As you can see for what I just mentioned, this guy has a lower rank, a lower deficit, and it increases the higher the deficit you're at. Because again, this kind of utility, delaying the enemy special move or just blocking it, will be more helpful when you actually have to counter some really annoying ones that otherwise would cost you the win. A lower deficit, that won't really happen. You can still win regardless, even if you don't block some annoying units. So it's not going to be as needed. That's the reason why his ranking is lower than. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. And now we can just have a look at the kit and see exactly what it does. So for the passive, he has an AoE energy decrease to nearby enemies every 5 seconds. The decrease is not too high, it's only 200, so it's not really going to prevent enemies from casting their special moves. Those stupid enemies in Adventure, they just generate so much energy, is stupid. So this 200 is not going to be too helpful, but it's still something, I would say. Then he has sort of a barrier effect. When he falls below 30% HP, he's going to be invincible for 3 seconds and reset the cooldown of all his active skills. So pretty helpful, not too bad also survivability wise. So yeah. The revolution, we're going to talk about that later, but it just sucks. So it's terrible, but okay. Then we have the first active skill. This is the pull that I mentioned before. He's going to pull the furthest enemy and then knock them airborne for 3 seconds. He's also going to get a swiftness increase for 10 seconds afterwards. That's just nice, but not too important. These 3 seconds CC, it's kind of overlapping with the 3 second silence from Rihanna. So at this point, Rihanna is mainly useful if you want to guarantee the pull from happening. Like if you don't have enough accuracy already, Rihanna is still going to be the best option. But if you have enough accuracy, you could also think of replacing this with something else. That's kind of the idea here. And the revolution, again, I'm going to mention it later, but it really sucks as well. Then we have the second active skill, heavy attack. Is going to punch the enemy, ignore 80% of the target magic resistance. He's still not going to do any kind of damage, but whatever. And then he's going to stun them for 2 seconds. He's going to then reduce the target hit swiftness by 40 for 10 seconds and an additional 20 with the Exosuke, but we're going to read that in a second. And yeah, that's all it does. Pretty simple. Then we have the special move is going to be an AoE attack that sends enemies airborne for 3 seconds again and also block their energy recovery for 10 seconds. Really, really, really strong. All of these is kind of in an AoE as we saw, like both the passive and the special move apply these effects on an AoE, which makes him pretty valuable throughout the fight compared to a Blurrod that's just mostly single target and also has a very low survivability. This guy has sort of a second life or an invincibility frame from the special move, so that's pretty good. So yeah, in general, this kit is simple, is solid, and it does one thing, but it does it pretty well. Let's have a quick mention of the revolution, and then we can straight up look at the exclusive image. So for revolution, we don't really upgrade anything in the subnodes. There is nothing really important to have. And unless you're going for archive, going higher than Revolution 3 is pretty much a waste. Revolution 4 is going to increase sort of magic peers for the grab. You don't care, you're not killing anyone. So unless you are at a low deficit where you can actually one-shot an enemy, or you're playing like PvP, at which point you kind of want to go for it anyway. So only those two scenarios this could come in handy, but in general it's just worthless. Same thing for Revolution 5 is going to give him a 200% attack increase for the first 8 seconds. And again, is only helpful for the early one shot if you can pull it off, but that's not happening at a deficit. So kind of worthless. And yeah, that's all for Revolution. No real reason to keep talking about it. That's just how it is. Let's have a quick look at the exclusive equipment as well. He's getting magic resistance as the additional stat, which is pretty good because he's a warrior and he's kind of lacking it, but it's not too important either. You're going to get plenty from True Essence anyway. Unless you're going for full evasion and you're playing PvP, then okay, whatever, doesn't matter. But yeah. Then we have the skill effects. We have level 1 is going to add the 20 swiftness decrease to heavy attack that I mentioned before, taking it to 60 swiftness decrease, pretty good. Then we have level 2 is just going to guarantee this attack to land, fine, but it should have enough accuracy anyway, but still okay. Level 3 is again trying to play on that one-shot mechanic, which is not happening, so it's kind of worthless. Level 4, on the other hand, is pretty good. It's going to also add a defense decrease by 50% for 5 seconds to the energy decrease effect from the passive. So that's going to be AoE, and I would say it is pretty good. Definitely something really nice to have. And yeah, that's pretty much all for this use equipment. Other than level 1 and level 4, the other two are just whatever, but it is still quite good. Then we have the gear. It is all pretty much worthless. You just want to go for the additional resistances so that it can survive and provide some more value throughout the fight. But that's pretty much all. You don't care about accuracy unless you're really missing it. You don't really care about evasion unless you're building it in the true essence as well. You might as well get some additional points. And crit rate and crit damage, don't even bother. That's just a waste of coins. And yeah, that's pretty much all for the gear. For the ignition weapon, as I mentioned, you want to go Rihanna if you have low accuracy, just so that it guarantees the grab. And yeah, that's pretty much all. The silence is going to be kind of wasted unless the enemy is immune to like airborne effect. But yeah, that's more or less the only use case. The other set that you could be running would be Barry, just to have another uh, invincibility. So you have the one happening at 30% from your passive, then you have an additional one at 25% from Barry. That could be also quite good. Or you could go for Alokazi as well. Is not really like is not a physical damage dealer, but Alokazi is just there for the increase in evasion so that it can survive a bit more. And I know it only applies to basic attacks, but basic attacks are pretty annoying in high deficit, so Alokaza would still be quite helpful. Kind of up to you, but I would say Ryan or Barry are going to be your best options. You could also go Rafflesia, but again, I would recommend one of the two. And yeah, that's more or less all for ignition weapons. Well, I kind of forgot to mention the stats you want to go for, but I would say go magic resistance slot 4 and physical resistance slot 5. This one is really trash, but whatever. So yeah, definitely you want to get to 99% resistances or above, and that's all you want to look for. You don't really care about anything else. This guy just needs to try and survive. And yeah, that's all. Let's have a look at the report. For Rapport is also pretty simple. You want to go level 6 if you're not running Rihanna, and you could stop potentially a level 4 if you are running Rihanna. So that's kind of the thing. And yeah, that's all for Rapport as well. I would say we can go over the team recommendations. Like for Yama, I'm not really going to recommend any sort of team. because this guy is a tech unit you can deploy in any team of any element, doesn't matter. You only need to deploy him when you have to grab an annoying enemy. Here I already provided some examples. So you usually want to place Cassano on the sides. If you place him in the middle, is going to be a bit of RNG who's going to grab, and also depending on whether the enemies are moving or not. But you usually want to place him on the side so that you are guaranteed who's going to be grabbed. And whether you place him in any of these two slots is always going to grab Garam, and whether you place him in any of these two is always going to grab Irang. So yeah, that's just how his grab works. And these are some of the units you might want to be using this guy against. Irang is pretty annoying with her special move that just brings all of your units together. So you can pull her, you will decrease her energy, you will block her energy regen, and hopefully you can kill her before she can actually cast it, which is going to be really massive. Same thing with Garam. Garam is extremely annoying with her AoE stun. It's going to be massive, and at the deficit will just one-shot you. So preventing that from happening is also really good. Same thing with, for example, Anniversary Iwa. Her special move is annoying because she's going to decrease the energy of your whole team by a ton and also heal all her allies back, which is insane. So really, really annoying unit, and you could also go ahead and grab her. The only downside here is that if you grab her and she can actually get to cast her special move, she will go back to the rear of the enemy team. So you still, like, if you cannot really prevent it, she's still going to be in a good position and you would probably still lose the fight. Another good unit to grab is going to be Evan. This guy unfortunately also has a conceal when he reaches a certain HP, but if you can just block his energy recovery, it's going to be massive. Unfortunately, this guy also has a debuff cleanse on his active skills, so even with his energy recovery blocked, he could still remove it. So that's something to keep in mind. There are some other units, like for example, add-on that you might want to grab. That's definitely going to be a good target as well. There are some, but you will definitely find them while playing. Like you will see, okay, I really want to get rid of that unit or prevent them from casting a special move, and then you place Cassano in a way that grabs them. Again, you can only grab the backline, so be mindful of which kind of units you're trying to counter. And there are some things to be wary of, as most of these targeting that happens at the start of the battle, if the enemy you are targeting is concealed, you're not going to grab them. So for example, an enemy Albelda, let me just add her in. She cannot be targeted, so in this scenario, Cassano would be grabbing Anniversary Iwa that I just removed for some reason, but let's put Eden. So in this case, it would grab Eden. That's kind of how it works. If like other units could be, for example, Dawon. So if Dawon is here and Abelda is also here, this guy is going to grab Garam, which is the furthest away enemy that he can actually see. There is also another sort of factor here, and that is Evan. Evan is going to conceal the highest attack unit in the team at the start of the battle, so that would also kind of negate the grab, which kind of depends who that unit is, but let's say it's Irang. In this case, Cassano would still be grabbing Garam. So just be careful of these kind of units. If they conceal themselves, etc., you might not grab the one you want. And yeah, that's more or less all there is to pay attention to. You don't really have to build a team around Cassano, you just have to slot Cassano in an existing team when you're facing one of the annoying units you want to grab. That's basically all there is to it. Let me know if you have any questions on this guy, if you agree with what I said, if you disagree, let me know all of that in the comments down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!